Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host, Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry and Plurk. This is episode 1, meet and greet. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. Sorry, I'm in not the most comfortable chair, sitting at my dining room table. I don't have a webcam, so hopefully someday I'll be doing this at my computer. But right now, I'm doing this on a camcorder my dad gave me last time I visited home, which is Michigan. I'm in Kentucky right now, northern Kentucky, about 10 minutes south of Cincinnati. I am a stay-at-home mom of 2. I have 4 cats and 1 dog. And I love to knit and crochet and do paper crafts and spin and sew. And I also love to read and write. So hopefully you'll see some of this in this podcast. The reason I'm doing a podcast is because I love watching podcasts. I have only watched 4 podcasts, 4 knitting podcasts, because I like to start at the beginning and watch the whole way through before starting a new one, and then I keep up with the podcast as they go on. But I like to watch the whole thing first. And I love to talk about my crafting. I love to talk about all of the yarny things that I'm doing, all of the papery things that I'm doing. But the only person that I talk to on a regular basis is my boyfriend, and he doesn't want to hear about my yarn all the time. Definitely doesn't want to hear about my yarn all the time. So, hopefully you will want to hear about what I'm doing in the yarn world, and the paper world, and the book world, all the things. Hopefully you'll want to hear about all of the things. I am going to start off by talking about finished objects for the week. I have a lot of finished objects this week. This is not unnormal, but it's also not my norm. I don't usually have, 6 finished objects. Oh no, 5, because 1 ended up being a work in progress. I'll tell you about that. I don't usually have this many in a week, but it's not uncommon for me to finish a lot at the end of the month and have just works in progress at the beginning of the month. So let's start with finished objects. Oh, the first one I'm going to tell you about is one that I don't have with me. I made a Detroit Lions hat with knitted with intarsia with Caron 1 pound in colorways black and teal on my Boy Interchangeables on US size 6 4mm. It was so difficult. I didn't know until after I made the hat that there was specific technique for intarsia in the round, so I ended up doing it flat and then seaming up the back. It still looks good, but I think next time I do a hat with intarsia, I'm going to do it in the round. Thank you for everyone for pointing me to tutorials. Next time. What can you do? My next finished object is this lovely piece of spinning. It is Corriedale. It's 4.7 ounces and 97 yards of, therefore pretty bulky. I got this earlier this summer. I was doing the Tour de Fleece on Ravelry, and I ran out of fiber. I learned how to spin in May. A woman at my knitting group, that noise in the background, that's my son Gabriel. They're being very good and quiet right now. I'm watching Caillou, which is basically baby crack. So we'll see how that goes. I may have to stop in here and then come back to podcasting later once Caillou goes off air. So where was I? Oh yes, Tour de Fleece in Ravelry. And a woman at my knitting group taught me how to spin in May. She gave me 8 ounces. No, that's not right. Probably about 6 ounces of white fiber, not white, natural fiber that I spun, and then that was all I had. And a little spindle snack that I had gotten the giggles, or my daughter Mara, that I had gotten from a woman when I ordered something that I'll show you later. So I had the spindle snack and I had the 6 ounces. Well, I finished the 6 ounces because it came in as a work in progress to Tour de Fleece. And it was day 10-ish, maybe. And it's 3 weeks, the tour rides. So my babies are very distracting. So I put in the newbies thread that I was out of fiber, so I was probably going to be spinning plastic bags. And I posted that on Saturday night. On Sunday, I didn't get back on Ravelry. I went to my knitting group, and the woman who had taught me how to spin just happened to have some blue merino in her card that she was done with. She just, teal merino, she was just, not interested. So she gave that to me. And there was another woman there who had gotten alpaca raw fleece, and she was giving it to this woman who had taught me how to spin. Her name's Lorraine. You'll probably hear about Lorraine a lot. So she had it for Lorraine, and she gave me some of this alpaca. And then Lorraine went out to her car and got her hand carders and made me some Rolex. So I went home, and there was a message from this woman, Carrie, from the newbie group. And she said, I'd love to send you some fiber. And I sent her a message back saying, well, I would love it if you want to send me some fiber. That would be great. But I did get a little bit of fiber at my knitting group today, so I don't want you to feel obligated, because she had sent the message the night before. And she sent me back something saying, oh, no, it's fine. Just send me your address. So she sent me this and 4.7 ounces of Cordale, and she sent me a silk top. And then that got there on Monday, I think. Not Monday, Tuesday. And then the next week, a huge box of fiber showed up from her. But you'll see all of that later as I spin it. But yes, so Cordale. And this is the spindle snack. This is a spindle snack that I got for the Ravellinic Games. I was on a team, and we all offered up prizes. And the prize that I won was this gorgeous spindle from Thomas Creations. And here's the card, little cards that came with it. And this is what I won. And the woman that I won it from also sent a little spindle snack. I've asked her what the fiber is, and I'm pretty sure she told me, but I forgot. And then I double checked with her when I finished this, and she forgot. So I don't know what it is, but it's 8 grams and it's 9.8 yards. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but it's gorgeous and it's really, really soft. Really soft. And it doesn't make me itchy, which is good. 100% wool, like when you just buy 100% wool, that makes me itchy. Angora makes me itchy. And cashmere makes me itchy. So this is not that. I can tell you that. I also finished a pair of socks for my mom this week. I made them for a Nerd Wars challenge, and one of the challenges was to use code language. And so the ribbing says mom. It's got, I'll start here, dash dash, and then character space, dash dash dash, character space, dash dash. And that spells mom in Morse code. My mom asked for 7 pairs of socks for Christmas this year, because last year I taught myself how to knit because I wanted to make socks and sweaters. And I gave my mom the first pair of socks that I knit, and she loved them. My sister actually delivered them because, as I mentioned, I'm in Kentucky, they're in Michigan, and my sister came down. We trade off years now. That's the plan anyway. and she delivered the socks. My sister delivered the socks for my mom. My mom called me and was like, oh my goodness, these socks fit amazingly. Can you make me some more for Christmas? And I was like, sure, Mom, I'll make you some socks. And she said, can you make me 7 pairs so I can have one for every day of the week? Sure, Mom, sure. At the beginning of this year, I thought that 7 socks was basically $1 million. Seems like an epic project to try to undertake. But now I'm kind of like, 7 pairs of socks in a year, no big deal. So these are my mom's socks. I made them on a size 2 circular out of Red Heart, Heart and Soul. There we go. The colorway is Toasted Almond. I'm sorry this lighting is not great for showing you the colors. It's got yellow, like golden yellow, and a navy-ish blue, maybe a little darker than navy, and a brown color and a lovely white color with brown through it, which you could see in the socks, kind of. But it's really gorgeous, and I got that for a present. Most of the socks that I've made for my mom this year, I've gotten the yarn from presents. I think I've only bought the yarn for 1 pair. No, for 2. For 2 of the pairs, I bought the yarn personally, but most of it came as presents. And then my last finished object this week is a cat bed. And the pattern is loosely based on the One Skein Pet Bed by Chris Porter. And I used scrap acrylic from my friend Mary Lee. She sent me a picture through text message ever ago, sometime earlier this year, asking me if I wanted some yarn. And I said, sure, I'll take it, whatever. For Nerd Wars this time, Nerd Wars is a game on Ravelry. I'm sure you'll hear much more about it on this podcast because I love the game. For Nerd Wars, there's each tournament lasts 3 months, and there are 6 monthly challenges. And then you can opt to do a dissertation, which takes place over 3 months. And for my dissertation, I'm making 5 cat beds. There's a woman in my knitting group who has an organization that she's trying to start. She takes in kittens because at least around here, I don't know how it is everywhere, but at least around here, kittens get put to sleep when they go to shelters because there's just not enough manpower to take care of all of them. Because kittens need round-the-clock feeding, special food. Kittens are a lot of work. So she takes in kittens, and I've made things, cat toys in the past that she sold to help fund. And one day at knitting, she casually mentioned wanting cat beds. So I decided, okay, so I'm making 5. This is cat bed number 2. And it is done. And those are all of my finished objects. Now on to my works in progress. I'm going to start out with my favorite. This is a very long-term project, but I love it anyway. My plan is to finish this in about 2 years from now. About 2 years from now. This is my sock yarn blanket. And here you go. Isn't it gorgeous? This is based off of the sock yarn blanket that Shelley King, the Heathen Housewife, did. And it's really easy. It's miter squares. There's a lot of ends to weave in, but there's no seaming because the squares are made on top of each other. And I love it. On my Ravelry project page, it's actually called You Mean I Can Cover My Entire Body in Sock Goodness. Right now it's only about a scarf, but I love it, and it is one of the few things that I make for myself. I don't usually make things for myself. I usually just make things for other people, but this is for me, and I'm so in love with it. I'm only using sock yarn leftovers from projects that I've made, which are mostly socks. but one shawl. And I have these lovely yarns still to use. Every yarn that I have is already in the blanket, so I'm using things for the second time now. And I'll have more to add slowly, but this is why it's going to take 2 years, because that seems kind of like a lot of sock yarn, but not when you think about making it into a blanket. I don't want to buy yarn specifically for the blanket. Okay, that's not quite true. I don't want to buy yarn, whole skeins of yarn, just for this blanket. I do find myself buying yarn for projects with the blanket in mind. As you can see, it's got quite a lot of brown and gray in it, and I wish it had more fun colors. But I tend to make socks for other people. I, in fact, have only made myself one pair of socks ever. So other people like browns and grays. For instance, this is a pair of socks I made for my boyfriend. And this little one, boyfriend socks. And this dark gray was for his aunt, for socks for her, and then his mom requested this color, which is dark gray and light gray together. So yeah, I get a lot of, they're nice yarns, they're pretty, they're just not bam in your face pretty colors. I would love more color. I still like the browns and the grays, and there will be more new yarn going into this that will be brown and gray. But I hope that eventually there will be a lot of pretty colors. I am planning, starting in January, to make myself one pair of socks a month. I have enough yarn set aside specifically for me to make 7 pairs. And there's still some gray and some darker colors, but there's also one that's, well, it's gray, but it also has a lovely blue in it, and there are several that are greens, so that'll be really exciting. But it's still not like, Lorraine was working on a pair of socks this week at knitting, and the yarn was bright pink and like a raspberry and a tangerine and then like a peachy color, and I was like, wow, that would look gorgeous in my blanket. But those aren't colors that I naturally pick up. I'm not like, oh yeah, that would be great for socks for me, or, you know, someone. But I do like those colors. It just wouldn't be the first thing for me to pick up. Like this pink right here, this one, I did not buy that. I actually got that in a random act of kindness, and I think it's gorgeous, but it wouldn't be something that I would pick up. I wear a lot of darker colors because I was a stage manager in college, and so I'm just used to black and dark brown and navies and those sorts of things. So those are the things that I automatically gravitate toward, but I do like other colors. I just don't think about it. Okay, that's enough about this blanket. You'll be seeing more of it. I'm probably not going to show it every episode, though I will be working on it every week. I'll probably just show you what yarn I put into it, but I will be working on it every week, and I'll probably show you as I get like to a 5% mark, you know, 5, 10, 15. Okay, on to the next. This project is my knitting penance. You know, the project that you started it and now you have to finish it, but you don't really want to finish it, so it's been sitting around forever. This is that. This is a shawl made out of sock yarn, and it is double knit. and it's just a rectangle. I started it for a swap, and the woman who I was swapping with said that she wanted a wrap. It was specifically a sock yarn shawl. She wanted a wrap that was 6 feet by 18 inches, and she would like it double knit in black, yes, black, and a blue with different colors of blue in it. So I started it, and it was the first thing that I double knit, and 6 feet by 18 inches is massive. So I decided I would rather make it 6 feet, like cast on for 6 feet, and then go from there instead of go from 18 inches and go from there. And I made this little pattern. You can probably see it better from the black side. Yeah, you can see the little spots in the double knitting. I asked for an extension on the shawl for an extra month because I got 2 swap dates messed up. This one was due at the end of May, and then I was doing another shawl swap that I thought was the one that was due at the end of May, but it was actually due in November, and I thought this one was due in November, so I asked for a month extension. No big deal. And then my partner disappeared from Ravelry, and she hasn't posted anything on Ravelry in 8 months, and we didn't exchange email addresses, which we probably should have, but we didn't. So I set this aside. I'm in this group on Ravelry that every few months there's a contest for works in progress, and someone wins a prize for completing works in progress. Sometimes it's whoever completes the most, sometimes it's projects are given point system based on difficulty and that sort of thing. Sometimes it's just a random drawing out of who finished projects. So this month they're doing it again, so I'm going to try to finish this. I am not going to make it 18 inches deep because I don't want a shawl that's 18 inches deep. I am going to make it to the next place where I would switch out the colors. So it'll be above here. It would be where the next one of these would be. And there's 20 rows in between each dot vertically. And I have 6 rows to go. This is, I think it's over 900 stitches per row. 6 rows to go. Done by the end of this month. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. It's on size 4 interchangeable needles using Knit Picks Stroll fingering in black and Serenity sock weight yarn in indigo. Yay, knitting penance. But once it's done, it will be a really, really nice scarf. I don't think I'm going to keep it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I don't want to see it anymore after I finish it. I think it's lovely, and I wish that I didn't feel this disdain for it, but I do. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with this scarf once it's done in hopefully about 10 days. That's a lot of knitting on this one project in 10 days. As you'll soon find out, I'm not a monogamous crafter. I like to work on all of the things all of the time. So I've already committed to only working on that shawl on Thanksgiving, and we have about an hour car ride each way, so that will give me some knitting time. And then while we're there, hopefully I'll get some knitting done. I'm not taking any other projects, which is going to be so hard. But there it is. That's the sock yarn shawl. These socks I'm knitting for my boyfriend, and I think they're epic. The pattern I'm using is the DNA Scarf by June Oshiro, 2 Sheep on Ravelry. And here, you see that DNA pattern? see if I can get it to really show up. I promise you, it looks awesome in real life. Hopefully it'll look okay on camera. I'm sorry about the lighting. I'll try to do better next week. It's not really sunny outside, and I have the light on, but it's not really bright. This is on, I was using double points, but because my mom's socks was on my circular. I only have one size 2 circular. I could use the interchangeables, but I don't have, my longest cable is being used in the sock yarn shawl, so they're just not long enough to do double loop. So I was doing this on double points, but now I'm doing it magic loop. And it's US size 2, 2.75 millimeter, using Lion Brand Sock Ease in the colorway Toffee. And I really like these colors, and I think it'll look awesome in my sock yarn blanket, but brown. What can you do? I really want to get these done so he can wear them on Thanksgiving, because doesn't that just scream Thanksgiving to you? The brown with the yellow and orange and white. It looks like a turkey dinner to me. I am through the gusset and the heel turn, so I just have the leg and the cuff, hoping to get them done by tonight. We will see. It might be by tomorrow. But in the next 2 days, these should be done, and he should be able to wear them on Thanksgiving, which would be really exciting because, you guys, let me tell you the story. Friday, I finished maybe it was Saturday, I finished the gusset on the first stock. I told you I was doing it on double points earlier. I finished the first stock, the gusset on it, and I was about to do the heel turn, and I was like, oh, that looks really long, even for him. And yeah, I could have pulled out a tape measure, but instead I just said, hey, try these on before you go to work, or try this on. He tried it on, and it was way too long. It was an inch too long. Like, it hung off the back of his foot by an inch, and I hadn't done the heel turn yet. So I had to rip out almost the whole pattern repeat. A pattern repeat is 38 rounds. Oh, the pain and agony. I was so sad. I put it in timeout for several hours, and then I worked on it again because I really wanted it to be done by Thanksgiving. And so when he got home that night, I had him try it on again, and it was still sitting too far back on his foot. So I'd planned to do a heel flap, toe up, heel flap. I threw that out the window. That wasn't going to happen. So I did kind of a, this is the back of the heel, and it's short rows. I can't remember what that's called, but that's the type of heel that I did, and the short row doesn't go all the way across on the knitting. It stops with a few stitches on either side, but they fit him really well through whatever knitting magic that is, and he doesn't care that that's not the heel that I'm meant to do. He thinks they're great. So I'm trying to let it go that I messed up because he thinks they're great. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. I am also working on another pair of socks. This lovely creature will someday become, these will someday become a pair of thigh highs for my sister. She asked me if I could make her some thigh highs and she would pay me for them. And I said, sure. So she's paying me a little bit for the thigh highs, and she's providing the yarn, which for this I'm using Serenity Sock Weight in the colorway Charcoal. It says charcoal, but this is really more like a dove gray or a cool dove gray. It's not what I think when I think charcoal. When I think charcoal, I think more like, let me find the square. I think more like this. This is more charcoal to me. But hey, whatever. I didn't name the yarn. And I think it's gorgeous. And the pattern I'm using is from Drops, but it doesn't have an actual name. It is 11712 long socks in Fable with cables, lace pattern, and silk ribbon. Yeah, I'm not calling it that every week because this will take me a few weeks to make for sure. From now on, it will be 117-12. I was going to call it cables and lace, but I like 117-12 more, so we're going to go with that. And my sister also bought me circulars that I could use so I could have a dedicated pair to her socks because she knows I'm not a monogamous crafter. And they are the Clover Bamboo size 1, which is 2.25 millimeters. And I really, really, really love working on these socks, even though I know they're going to take me half of ever. I think the yarn is gorgeous. My Joann's doesn't have solid Serenity. It only has self-striping. So this gray color, I'm in love with it. Kind of want to wrap my whole self up in this gray color. I need to find thicker yarn in that particular gray so I can make myself a sweater someday when I'm finally brave enough to make a sweater. We'll see how that goes. I'm also spinning a project. This is Baby Doll South Down. I got this also from Carrie, the woman who sent me the Cordale. And I think it's really, really pretty, but it kind of makes me itchy. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yarn when I'm done with it, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. This is what I ordered from the woman that I won Spindle. The spindle that I won. She sent that to me, but I ordered this from her, and this is what that first spindle snack came with. And it is a wrist distaff. And the woman that I bought it from, see how lovely it is? Blah. Hi camera, let's figure out how to use you. Okay, that's good. See how lovely that is at holding, well, I mean, I don't have a lot of fiber here, but when I have a lot of fiber, it holds it back away from the spindle, and I love it. It fits really, really well. It's from Mary Bear. Mary Bear is Oh So Crafty on Etsy. I highly recommend getting it if you want a wrist distaff that isn't hanging down from your wrist. I've seen a lot of those, but I really like this design, and I highly recommend it. I am working on a few crochet projects too. So I am making an Afghan for my boyfriend's sister for Christmas, and I'm doing it as part of the crochet block a month, the 2012 block a month crochet along group on Ravelry. Hi, Boo Boo. My daughter has just run upstairs. How exciting. I haven't done a square since July. That's a lot of squares to make up because I do 4 a month. Yeah. Not so good, right? It'll be okay. I'll get it done by December 22nd when the family Christmas party is. I'm sure. I just need to go get more yarn for it. This is all the red and black that I have right now. Not enough to make a cajillion squares. I need to go to the store and get some more. I am working on this square right this moment. This is a 12-inch square. It is called The Crocodile Flower by Joyce Lewis. And this is Lion Brand Scarlet and Black. I don't know if I mentioned that. And this yellow is Red Heart Super Saver in bright yellow. Don't worry, you'll see a lot more Afghan going on in the next month. Need to get cracking. I need to be doing like 1 square a day. It's not going to happen, but that's what I need to be doing. Wish me luck. I'm also working on the 3rd cat bed for my Nerd Wars dissertation. This is made with yarn that I salvaged from a baby blanket. One of my kids' baby blankets, it wasn't one that was made specifically for them. It was just one that I got from someone. I don't know. I have just been gifted pretty much everything my kids have for the most part. Honestly, I don't buy things for my kids. I just get them. People just give me things, which is lovely. Because kids grow out of clothes and toys so fast, there's no reason to be buying new things. But this blanket was one of the things that someone gave to me, and it got a hole in it. There's a little crocheted blanket and it got a hole in one of the corners, so I ripped it all out, and I'm using the yarn for this. By next week, this should be done. Hopefully. Except all I'm working on for the next while is that shawl. You may recall in the finished objects that I said there was one that I had counted, but then it wasn't. Last week, my sister sent me a package with the yarn for her socks and yarn for a pair of arm warmers and a special magical yarn for me that you'll see in a little bit. So I cranked out a pair of arm warmers for her. And she likes them, but I used Boutique Magical. If you can see on the picture, there are 4 different textures of yarn. Well, I made her 2, but I made them kind of... The yarn didn't match. The color does not repeat. Like the colored part, the colors don't repeat in the yarn. So the colors were different. But also, the hand part in the one that I made her, one was in this fluffy, and then one was in this not fluffy yarn. As you can see, the textures and weights of these yarns are very, very different. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very difficult. When I made these the first time, I tried 2 knitting patterns, and then I just went to my favorite default crochet pattern, and that's what I ended up using, and that's what I'm using here. It's from redberrycrochet.com. It's just her fingerless mitts pattern. It's a for sale pattern, but I really, really love it. Anyway, this morning I was talking to my sister, and this is what one mitt hand, the other mitt hand. And she said that the hand that was made out of this gets cold on her steering wheel, and was wondering if I could make her a 3rd arm warmer with this on the hand. And I said, sure, no problem. And then I looked at the yarn I had, which is this. A little bit of a problem. This is not enough to finish the arm warmer, because the way the arm warmer, the first one worked, was this fluffy, and then all of this, and then another repeat of the fluffy, and then a little bit of this. And I was like, I don't have fluffy. I don't have the fluffy yarn. It doesn't go through the repeat. I actually cut off at the beginning some of this. There was some of this blob at the beginning of the project for this. So I have enough to do the few rounds on the bottom, but I don't have the fluffy. I gave her 3 options. She could send me back her other mitt, the one that isn't what she wants, and I could rip out that yarn and use it. Or I could maybe go to Joann's and see if they have more of this colorway, which is Crystal Ball. Or I could be a arm warmer with just the hand fluffy and then this for the rest. She said she thought she would just send me back the other fluff, which could take forever because my sister doesn't like going to the post office and mailing things off. And then I remembered that I have this in my stash. My sister gave this to me forever ago. It's Red Heart Symphony in the colorway Mystic Purple. And it is not exactly the same. probably going to hold it double, but it does have that fuzzy fluffiness to it, and I think it'll work really, really well with this, color-wise. And that is how I'm going to finish her arm warmer, which I'm going to finish today so I can send it out to her tomorrow since she's waiting. And that is, yes, that is everything for works in progress. Coming up in the next couple weeks, or, the next month, you'll see some sewing, and definitely Rachel's Afghan, but hopefully, I'm not going to start anything new in the coming week. I am not going to happen. Partially because I want to save some things for Nerd Wars, and partially because I really, really need to get that shawl done. Need to. I can't say in the group that, I'm going to get this done in time for this contest and then not get it done. I'm just not that person. But let me go from there to my new things, because I have new things and they're exciting. You've already seen some of the package that I got from my sister, the gray Serenity sock weight and that Red Heart Boutique Mystical. And this is the other thing that she sent. Rosario Multi Sensations, this green. Let me pull out a strand so you can see. This will be arm warmers for me as soon as I get done with what I'm working on. It is so very, very squishy and lovely, and I opened the package and I was expecting the arm warmer yarn and I was expecting the sock yarn, and then this fell out and I squealed. I did. I squeal when I get excited. I can't just do it. It's totally an organic sound, but yeah, I squealed. It was amazing, and I love it. Last week, Joanne sent me a coupon for 60% off one item. This is $10 normally. It makes 2 pairs of socks, Lion Brand Sockies. This is a colorway Cotton Candy. 60% off means $4.25 for a pair of socks. That's a really good price, and I don't have a lot of dollars to spend on crafty things. I would love to buy luxury sock yarns, but the reality is I just don't have that much right now. I have 2 small kids. Sometimes they eat into the crafting budget. But I saw this, and then there was another colorway that I really, really liked. It was like a purpley gray with yellow and a darker purple little strips running through it, and I really, really liked it. And I couldn't decide. So I asked my boyfriend what he thought. And he picked up one skein of each and hid it behind his back, and he was like, pick a hand. And I was like, I'm not going to pick a hand. Just tell me what you think. And so he said, Gabriel, pick a hand. I said, well, why don't you just show Gabriel and ask him which one he likes? So he picked this one, probably because it's bright. Wouldn't it look nice with the rest of my blanket? You know it will. I haven't decided what I'm going to use this for. I have one pair of pink socks, but I don't really wear it that often. I like it. It's just not the first pair that I go for because it's bright pink. So I might make socks for my niece and for my daughter, and that should still leave me with plenty of yarn left over because my niece is 4 and my daughter is 2. They have small feet. But we'll see. Nothing's set in stone. I just think it's really nice, and hopefully I'll get a 60% off coupon so I can go back and buy that other yarn that I really, really like. You may recall when I was talking about finished objects, making a Detroit Lions hat. Well, I made that woman a Detroit Lions hat for her husband, and I made them a Harry Potter wall scarf, and I made a pea shooter from Plants vs. Zombies, and I sent those. And she, in return, sent me 3 pairs of socks for me. She machine knits, I think she says that there's something wrong with her hands, so she can't knit or crochet, but she can machine knit. And oh my goodness, do I love these socks. They fit so amazingly. I would never buy this sock color just off the shelf. It would never be like, oh, I want that. But now that they're here, I love them. And these ones. And these ones. I can't tell you how excited I am to have hand knit socks. Well, machine knit, but you know, handmade socks for me that fit amazingly. I only have one pair. I've only ever made myself one pair. And now I have 4 pairs. That's almost enough for one for every day of the week. It is enough if I don't take off my socks when I go to sleep, because then I won't change them. Some people might think that's icky, but my feet don't really sweat, especially in the cold, cold winter. So yeah, I'm really excited about these socks. It is now much later in the day. The kids are both down for their nap. I had to stop recording because babies. Being a stay-at-home mom is awesome, except when you want some time to yourself, because that doesn't exist. There's no time off. Before I finish what I'm doing, I just want to show you what I finished while I was waiting for the kids to be calm and quiet. This is the arm warmer for my sister. I think this yarn worked out pretty well with everything else. I'm going to do 3 favorite things. Some people do 5. I'm going to do 3 because I don't know if I can think of 5 things all the time. I don't think you're going to be surprised by what my 3 things are this week, but I'm going to do them anyway. My first favorite thing is socks. I love socks so, so much. Love them. I have 60 pairs in my drawer right now. 10 of those, maybe 10 are white, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rid of those very shortly. I'm going to keep 3 for going to the gym and give the rest to my best friend because she wears white socks about a zillion times more often than I do. And I'm probably going to get rid of some of my slipper socks because I don't really wear them, and my sister will love them. So socks, obviously, to sock yarn. I love sock yarn. I mean, I'm sure you could tell by all of my projects how much I like sock yarn. Look at this scarf. It is hours later after I recorded the first part, and I'm still wearing it because I love sock yarn. And it is my favorite part of the store. I would roll around in the sock yarn section if I thought I could get away with it. If I were a cat, sock yarn would definitely be the stash that I would try to get into. I have enough sock yarn to make 15 pairs of socks right now. I feel that that is ridiculously not enough sock yarn in my life. Must get more sock yarn eventually. Not right now, probably after the holidays. But only 15 pairs. My number 3, sock knitting. Since I learned how to knit, it has been dominated by socks. I have completed 18 pairs in the year and a half since I learned how to knit. That's about 1 pair per month. But considering that for the first pair of socks took me like 3 months to do, just because I was learning how to knit, my average is more like 2 pairs per month, and I think it's going to continue climbing because I really, 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 really love knitting socks. That's all this week for Bunnyfish Crafts. Thank you for hanging out with me for, I don't know, an hour-ish. There are more segments that I want to do, but not on weeks when I have quite so many projects. I was actually going to talk about a book this week, but I'll just save it for next week. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hope to see you on Ravelry or Plurk. I'm Bunnyfish, and I hope you finished something awesome with your sticks and your string.